This week's Parsha is Parshas Chukas. The big discussion is the Para Adumah. We discussed this in the past in 2016, original according to Rabban that commented the Parsha section. What is the reason for this chok of the Para Adumah? Chok, something that we don't know why we do it. What is the chok of the Para Adumah? The chok of the Para Adumah, it is metame those who are tar, metaher those who are tame. It makes impure those who are involved with the Para Adumah, and it purifies also the people who are impure. How does that make any sense? Why did Hashem want it that there are chukim, that there are certain mitzvahs that we do that we have no clue the main reason why we do it? And how could the paraduma apply to our lives nowadays that we no longer have a base of mikdash in the paraduma? So this is a major discussion. First of all, to attempt to explain how the paraduma is not a chok, and to get some understanding over here. The Chizkuni and Bamidbar and Yud Tes Yud Beis explains, we see that certain things in this world have a dual function, such as fire. Fire could be used to build, to cook, but it could also be used to destroy. It could be destructive. So we see that certain things in this world have a dual purpose. Water, floods, but water, we need it to drink, to bathe with, to clean ourselves with, etc. So we see the concept of a dual function. Similarly, my great-great-grandfather in his Nachlas Via in Parshas Chukas on pages Shimpei to Shimpei Aleph says, we see that certain medicines, they could be fatal for certain individuals, but they could save other people's lives. It could be poison to someone else, but by other people, it could literally save their lives. So we see this concept of items that have a dual function. That's what we see over here. However, if you look in the chinuch on this mitzvah over here, it says that is not so simple at all. If you look in the chinuch in mitzvah Shin Sadi Zayin, he says, even though a lot of times I write the reasons for mitzvahs, I'm very hesitant about it over here to discuss it. I really don't want to do it because this reason, it's weak in my hand. I'm afraid to open my mouth about it. Because we already know that Chazal teach us it's a Bamidbar Rabba, Yud Tes Gimel, Medrash Tanchuma, and Chukas Vav, that Shlomo HaMelech himself already said in Kohelet Zayin, Chavkiva Amarti, Achachma V'hi Rechoik Mimeni, that even Shlomo HaMelech, he was so wise, he said, this mitzvah is still so far away from me. And the Rabbeinu B'chaya says, V'hi Rechoika, the gematria, the numerical value is Para Adumah, amazing gematria. And also the Midrash Tanchuma as well in Ches. Midrash Tanchuma also says this is very hard to reveal the reason of it. Like Hashem is not revealing the reason. So he says, don't try to go into all of the secrets and everything because we can't understand it. It's a wonderment. How could it purify those who are impure and vice versa simultaneously? It just doesn't make sense. And he doesn't go into it. But then the Chinuch says we see that the same answer, that there's certain medicines and certain trees and plants which could be detrimental for some, but it could help others, and he lists certain examples. That's the whole Chinuch. At the end of the day, we have to realize that Hashem wants there to be chukim. There's a tremendous amount of length in the Emes Yaakov al Torah Rabbi Yaakov Kamenetsky on pages Tuf Mem Beis, Tuf Mem Gimel, who goes into this chinuch and explains that Hashem wants there to be mitzvahs that we don't know why they do them, that we don't know why we do them. It's a gezerah. Hashem said, you just have to do it, finished. Don't go into it more. Hashem made the world in that way. And he goes into a tremendous length about explaining this idea. And this is how Hashem wanted the Torah to be specifically in this manner, that we should fulfill it just because Hashem said so. Finished. Done. End of the story. He goes into this more in his commentary of Emes Liakov on Pirkei Avos, Parakeh Mishnah Gimel, on pages Kuf Lamed Aleph to Kuf Lamed Gimel. He goes into this more in the Emes Liakov. In Pirkei Avos, he discusses this a lot more when it discusses that there were 10 tests that Avram was given, and he withstood all of the tests. Right. He goes into it a lot more over there. over there in his commentary, talks about the difficulties, the Akedas Yitzchok when it came to Avram, all of the tests that happened beforehand. Lech lecha, go from your land to another. And he says that's what Hashem wants, to test us, to test Avram. That's why the Akedah was also so difficult. The Akedas Yitzchok. With this, we could explain that why Hashem said, I'm only going to reveal all the reasons to you, but not to the rest of the people. In the Yalkut Shimoni and Bamidbar and Yud Tes, Tafshin and Tes. The Para Adumah, the Avoda Para Adumah is Avoda Me'ira, that we have to fear Hashem. The idea is about fearing Hashem. That's what the Para Adumah comes down to.
No surprise to that.
Not only do we not know the reason, but the Para Adumah is against logic, as we said before. And Shlomo couldn't understand it. It's different than every other mitzvah that even if we don't understand it, the Kuzari explains, nevertheless, it's not against logic. Only Moshe, it was revealed to him the mitzvah. Because Moshe had a tremendous amount of fear of Hashem. Like the Gemara in Brachos says on Lamed Gimel. Va'ata Yisrael ma Hashem Elokecha shoyil milmach kiyum liyira. What is Hashem asking for you? Just merely to fear Him. The Gemara says, Atu yira shamayim milsus uzrasai. Do you think that by fearing Hashem is easy? It's very difficult. The Gemara answers, in lagabe Moshe milsus uzrasai. Yes, by Moshe it's very easy. This is analogous if you ask someone for something and he has it, it's very easy for him to lend it out. But if he doesn't, it's hard. So by Moshe, fearing Hashem is very easy. So therefore, Moshe could have been revealed the mitzvahs of Para Adumah, but us, that we don't have the same fear of Hashem. So that's why we can't know the reason of Para Adumah. From Chaim Shmuel Levitz takes a slightly different approach in his Sichos Musar Maimarai and Chesdaf Shin Lametes. And he explains why specifically the mitzvah of Para Adumah is a chok. We have no clue why. And he basically says, the idea over here is when we perform a mitzvah and we don't know why we're doing it, that demonstrates that we have emunah in Hashem. We're doing the Ratzon Hashem. We're believing in Hashem. That's the Para Adumah over here. Goes into it a lot more. The idea over here is that, look, you could come up with a little bit of logic, perhaps, when it comes to Para Adumah. At the end of the day, Hashem wants there to be certain mitzvahs, or Para Adumah as the quintessential mitzvah, which requires more research as to why. As to we have no clue why we do it. Why? So that we have belief in Hashem. Sadik b'munasu yichya. That's the foundation of the entire Torah, like it says at the end of Maseches Makos. It encompasses all the mitzvahs. Believing that every single thing that Hashem does is for our good. A person finds out they have cancer, someone close to them passed away, there's another sickness, another issue that's going on. That is also that we believe in Hashem, that this is for the right reasons. It's a deeper idea behind Para Adumah. Everyone should have a wonderful Shabbos.
Shabbos. Okay.
All right, we'll resume Monday meditation.
It's Hashem Monday.